Hear me roar. Good morning, Kuhner country. You want to talk about an absolutely pathetic concession speech. Oh, man, oh, man. So, this is Kamala Harris. First, she goes AWOL in the middle of the night after news breaks that she has lost to Donald Trump. And she abandons her supporters. She doesn't even go out herself. She sends one of her co-campaign managers out and says, you know what? You tell everybody to go home. So they're crying, despondent, yelling, screaming. They all need the mental health assistance. They all need to see a psychiatrist. And as her supporters now are in absolute tears, she is AWOL. She doesn't even address the country in the morning. She doesn't address the country at noon. I guess they had to sober her up. Finally, by 4:30, it's almost 5 o'clock, Kamala Harris comes out and gives, there's just no other way to say it, a pathetic 12-minute so-called concession speech. And by the way, it's in front of Howard University, her alma mater, and you see all these college kids, and I feel sorry for them because they're all so brainwashed and so indoctrinated, and they're crying. I mean, they're weeping like at a funeral. And all I'm thinking is, as I'm looking at this, I'm like, you should be thanking your lucky stars. You're going to be able to get a job now when you graduate. You're going to be able to get an apartment because it'll be affordable. I mean, you should be thanking the lucky stars that the country voted for Donald Trump. But let that go. It was one of the most classless, nasty, empty, talk about full of platitudes, one of the worst concession speeches ever delivered. And what made it even worse, as I said on X, by clearly someone who is empty, a narcissistic phony. As I said, and it was just one campaign platitude, one cheap campaign slogan after another, but there was one consistent undertone throughout. Fight Donald Trump, resist Donald Trump, undermine Donald Trump. And make no mistake about it, she was sending a huge dog whistle to the Democrats, to Black Lives Matter, to the media, to Antifa, to liberals everywhere. Undermine and cripple Trump's presidency. She never once called to support Trump's agenda. She didn't even wish Trump well. She didn't even congratulate him on his victory. Now remember, we're not talking about a contested election. Even Democrats are all coming out saying, no, she lost fair and square. She got her political head handed to her. She was absolutely crushed. The popular vote now, it's a resounding 3.5 percentage point popular vote win. That's last 20, 30 years. That's a huge, that's a big deal. This is the first time in the 21st century that any Republican has won such a clear mandate. A massive popular vote victory, an electoral college. It looks like it's going to be 312 votes. We are now talking about he helped the Republicans retake the Senate. They're on the cusp of holding the House. It is an absolute clean sweep. It is one of the most decisive, sensational, overwhelming victories in recent American politics. And she doesn't even have the basic class, decency, courtesy to congratulate Donald Trump, who clearly outworked her. One of the reasons, there's many reasons why he won, but clearly one of the big reasons is he worked like a dog. He outworked her. He outmaneuvered her. He outcampaigned her. His message, as I said on X yesterday, and I'm going to get to this later in the show, You listen to the liars in the media, the media propagandists, and to the Kamala supporters. It was racism that was apparently now responsible for her losing. Or now they love this new word, misogyny. That's their new word now. Misogynist, misogyny. Americans are misogynistic. Americans are all sexist. No, it was he addressed the issues. Trump focused like a laser beam on the issues that are on voters' minds. And this cut across class, ethnicity, race, gender. It was inflation, the struggling anemic economy, the wide open border, crushing illegal immigration, and soaring crime. Those were the issues that really drove voters to the polls. And Kamala Harris delivered nothing. She never addressed the flailing economy. She never addressed inflation, except calling for these insane price controls, which frankly would have led to mass famine and food shortages. The woman ran, look, her campaign in a nutshell, celebrity endorsements and abortion. That's it. She refuses to answer questions. Celebrity endorsements and abortion. And you're asking yourself why she lost? Are you kidding me? And by the way, and this is extremely important, so let me get this straight now. Black men are racists. Latinos, both men and women. So now what? Latinos are all of a sudden all a bunch of misogynistic racists? By the way, college-educated white women, Trump won. So this so-called gender gap, a little bit, but it didn't materialize the way the media painted it out to be. Young voters. He made massive inroads with young voters, not just white young voters. Again, Latinos, blacks, Asians, it doesn't matter. So as I said to Grace last night over dinner, I go, this is incredible. So what now? Blacks are part of the KKK? Latinos now are part of the KKK? Asians are part of the KKK? I sorry, did I miss the memo? I mean, these people listen to you should listen to yourself talk. These people are unhinged. They're refusing to accept reality that the Biden economy sucked. It was a disaster. And it was like bone cancer. Inflation is like bone cancer to middle working class people. And that's why blacks came out in big numbers for Trump. Latinos shattered all records for Trump. Young voters, they have no future. They're tired of living in mommy and daddy's basement. That's why they voted for Trump. Like, this is not rocket science. You know, as Scott Jennings on CNN, he's the only guy worth listening on CNN, the way he told that entire panel on election night, I agree with him. This was the revenge of regular working class Americans. They're tired of being insulted. They're tired of being vilified. They're tired of being condescended to. And they told the elites once and for all, we've had enough. All these people want. You want to know what black men want? You want to know what Latinos want? You want to know what working class voters want? You want to know what so many women who voted for Trump want? You want to know what young people want? In all seriousness, they just want to get up every day, work hard, provide for their families, and put food on the table. In the end, that's what this election was about. And not worried about being killed by some illegal immigrant rapist or murderer or gangbanger. And Trump focused on those two issues. And those were the two issues that won him the election. Now, rather than acknowledge that this was a populist revolt against a dangerously out of touch and frankly anti-American globalist elite that doesn't give a damn for the American people, that doesn't give a damn for the American middle class or working class, that doesn't give a damn for this country. Now, Kamala Harris and her supporters are trying to spin the fiction that she was done in by racism, by sexism, by misogyny, by this, this boogeyman of white supremacy that apparently now infects African Americans. It affects Latinos. So basically, it doesn't matter what your skin color is. If you vote against the Democratic machine and the Democratic progressive regime, these communists in power, if you reject communism, then all of a sudden, I'm sorry to tell you this, but now you're a white supremacist. Now you're a racist and a misogynist. This is the deranged reaction, the deranged response of a deranged political party, of a deranged media, and of a deranged candidate. Yesterday, Kamala finally concedes. But was it really a concession? Your calls, your reaction next. 620 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. 617-266-6868. Okay. The Dems are still refusing to accept reality. The media, many Kamala supporters, depressed, despondent, and they're lashing out at the voters. I'm not kidding. So it's by the way, this from a candidate who called over half the country, I'm talking about Kamala Harris now, Nazis, Hitler, fascist, racists, and you wonder why she lost. Or Joey, who, by the way, Joe Biden is going to be addressing the country today at 11 o'clock. All I'm wondering is, what name is he going to call us today? What's coming out of his mouth today? So he calls us all garbage. And you wonder why you lost. You keep just spitting in people's faces. And you wonder why they turn out in huge numbers to kick you out of office. And instead it was because they're a bunch of racists, misogynist, sexists. Listen now to Kamala Harris. It's telling Donald Trump, and it's a dog whistle, a very loud dog whistle. You know what? We've got to cripple Trump. We've got to block Trump. We've got to undermine Trump. We've got to do everything possible to prevent him from being a successful president. Listen to Kamala. Roll cut 2. This was her so-called concession speech yesterday. Roll cut 2, Mike.
The outcome of this election is not what we wanted, not what we fought for, not what we voted for. But hear me when I say, the light of America's promise will always burn bright. As long as we never give up, and as long as we keep fighting.
And by the way, look, she looked horrible yesterday, and I don't mean this in a cosmetic sense. I mean just she looked, I don't know if it was a night of drinking. I don't know if she is emotionally, psychologically reeling from the defeat. I don't know if she's fallen into a mini depression. I don't know if she's back on the weed. I don't know what her problem is. But she was nervous. Her voice was quivering. You could tell she didn't want to be there. And by the way, did all of you notice Tim Walz? We were talking about this in the pre-show production meeting today. He was bawling. It was weird. He was like maybe 20 feet away from her with his wife and children. And Doug Emhoff, Kamala Harris's husband, he's consoling Walz. And I mean, Walz is sobbing. I don't mean a tear in his eye. He is sobbing uncontrollably. And I'm looking at, and as Mike said, he goes, Jeff, he really is the embodiment of the beta male. And the media was trying to sell this guy to us. He's He's the archetypical man. He's a coach. He's a warrior. This is the man that's going to appeal to the white working class. And he's like a 5-year-old child. He's sobbing uncontrollably. Dude, you had a whole day to prepare for this. Get a hold of yourself. You're a 60-year-old man, for God's sake. People lose elections. Relax. I mean, it was pathetic. And Emhoff is like almost like a child. Like, it'll be okay. Timmy, it'll be okay. No, tampon Tim. Don't worry. We're still going to put tampons in the boys' bathrooms. Okay, Tim? It's all going to be okay. Easy, Tim. Easy. You can still go to China, Tim. It's okay. Listen now to Kamala. I can play cut after cut. But this gives you a sense. She let it be known as clearly as she can. Wink, wink. We're going to stop Trump. We're going to undermine Trump. We're going to cripple Trump. We're going to make life miserable for Trump. We're going to wage an all-out war to make sure that Trump does not succeed as president of the United States. Roll cut 5B, Mike.
My allegiance to all three is why I am here to say, while I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign.
There you go. There you go. Let me just play one more, and then I promise I'm going to go to the phone lines. This is her, and notice the way she phrases it. Roll cut 5A, Mike.
A fundamental principle of American democracy is that when we lose an election, we accept the results. That principle, as much as any other, distinguishes democracy from monarchy or tyranny. And anyone who seeks the public trust must honor it. At the same time, in our nation, we owe loyalty not to a president or a party, but to the Constitution of the United States. And loyalty to our conscience and to our God.
Now, when have the Democrats ever cared about the Constitution? All they do is trash the Constitution. All they want to do is destroy the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, go on about how it was created by evil white men who own slaves. Now, all of a sudden, they revere it. They're out to stop Trump. 632 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let me ask all of you, Kuhner country. Did you watch Kamala's pathetic concession speech yesterday? You know, as I told Grace over dinner, her campaign ended the way it began. It was just pathetic. I mean, it was almost like a fitting end to a pathetic campaign. Anyway, it was sad. It was frankly at times stupid, full of platitudes, empty slogans, nasty, vicious, rabid, anti-Trump to the core. So, did you watch it? What did you make of it? And do you think, was it a dog whistle for the left to start engaging in potential violence against the incoming Trump administration? I'm just curious. What did you make of it? And the media, the entire fake news media, the Democratic Party elites, and the Kamala campaign, their supporters are saying she didn't lose because she was a horrible candidate with a horrible message. No. She lost because the country is fundamentally racist and misogynistic. Agree? Disagree? Barbara in Maryland. You're going to kick us off, Barbara. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Good morning, and thanks for taking my call this glorious day. And we can say, President Trump, I am so elated. I did 8 days of early voting. I'm finally getting my body back where I can just, I loved it. I've never been so elated. I don't think, maybe the day I got married to Freddie, maybe. But what's that? And as for Kamala, I just want to say this. First of all, nothing she said mattered before the election, so nothing she says now matters. And quite frankly, I'm sick of hearing about her and what she has to say. As for dog whistles, there are no dog whistles for violence or anything else because the street voted for Trump. The street voted for Trump. Those people that were out there rampaging maybe in 2020 and 2016, they've had the last 4 years or 3.5 years of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and everybody's ready for a change. It's going to be a time of elation. So I don't care what Joe Scarborough said. I don't care what they say because none of it matters. It's all sour grapes. We're going to enjoy what's getting ready to come, and it's going to be prosperity. And, oh, my gosh, I just can't wait for the schools and everything to change, get our kids back. It's just kick these Democrats out. People at the grassroots, be aware of what's going on in your schools. Now it's time to take the lower, roles in government, school boards, city council, county councils. Republicans, get out and take it because that's where the big change is going to come for the future. To keep them away from our kids and make sure that they're on point. But I'm just excited. So if I sound a little here and there and everywhere, I'm just so excited.
No, so am I, Barbara. I'm on cloud nine. Really, yes. I haven't stopped being this happy. It's been 48 hours now, and I'm elated, relieved, frankly, partially relieved, but elated, happy, joyful. We did it. We really did it. And I want to say this, Barbara, I want to thank you. I know how hard you worked for President Trump, but really all of Kuhner country. We lifted this great country on our shoulders and we carried this republic over the finish line. And everybody, honestly, you should be extremely proud. This is one of the proudest crowning achievements of our lives. And frankly, of this country's history. This is a spectacular victory. It really is a victory for the people. Barbara, I want to ask you this, because to me it shows again how badly out of touch and really the contempt and hatred that the elites have for its own citizens, for us, for the people. What do you make of the argument? I can play you the cut. I don't want to waste your time. It's one media personality after another saying, you know what? Blacks are racist, especially black men, but blacks who voted for Trump in particular. What is it? He doubled the black vote. He made massive inroads. Blacks are racist and misogynistic for voting against Kamala Harris. That Latinos are racist and misogynistic for voting against Kamala. That minorities are racist and misogynistic for voting against Kamala. Barbara, they're calling you to your face a racist, sexist pig. In other words, you hate your skin color, you hate your plumbing, you hate who and what you are, according to them. That's why you didn't vote for Kamala. What say you?
Well, I tell you what, that's old news. I was called all those things by my family. That's when I came out against Obama. So that's old news. That's nothing. They have reduced it to nothing. It is meaningless. We could care less because what's going to happen in this country is going to be, this is what the popular vote for the number of the close call in New Jersey. The numbers of people who voted for him in California and in New York, that gives me a glimmer of hope that in the future elections, we're going to see more Republicans come, especially in New York, they need to get rid of that governor. I just hope that the same, was it Lee Zeldin who ran? I hope he runs again because I think he can win. And they've done nothing. This and those, like I said, calling us names, especially black conservatives like myself, we're used to that, and we could care less. It's meaningless.
Oh, you got a great attitude. Barbara, honestly, you got a wonderful, wonderful attitude. Barbara, as always, thank you so much for your call, and God bless you. 617-266-6868. No, look, think about it. If you're now going to start to vilify and smear the voters, okay. Okay. I mean, you want to make yourself completely irrelevant. Go right ahead. And by the way, Barbara's completely right. I mean, we could go on about the numbers and New Jersey. Have you seen how close New Jersey? It almost went for Trump. Deep blue New Jersey is now a swing state. You look at some of these key House races that are going to put, the Republicans over the top. 218 is the number, the magic number to get a majority. It's coming from states like New York and California. So Trump outperformed in almost every county. Kamala underperformed in almost every county. So what is shocking the Democrats, it's not just that he doubled his support among blacks. Black men, he killed it. Latinos, his support is, look, if they can retain what they have now, the black Latino support, it's a majority party. It is a permanent majority working class coalition. But then white women, he won white women. Young voters, Gen Z, everybody said, they're all a bunch of lefties. Not under Trump. So the young vote, the minority vote, the working class vote, what we're seeing now is Trump is erecting a multiracial, multi-ethnic, working class, populist majority coalition that is transforming American politics right in front of our eyes. And the Democrats' response? Racism, misogyny. Go ahead. Go ahead. Keep insulting the voters. And you're going to get even more blacks and more Latinos and more Asians and more women and more young voters into this new big Republican tent, the Trump tent. Vinny in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Vinny, and welcome.
Thanks for taking my call, Jeff.
Hi, Vinny.
Great day in the United States.
It really is, Vinny. Victory Day.
I just have 2 points. You took some of my thunder when you said they don't care about the Constitution. You're right. To them, it's just a piece of paper. She's got no position to talk about God, where she had 2 people escorted out of her rally because they mentioned God, if you remember that. Also, we have to remember a lot of damage can be done between now.
Vinny, I know what you're saying. Hang on, please. I want to come right back to you. I'm up against a heartbreak. Vinny's right. The next 3 months, they're going to do a lot, 2.5. The next 2.5 months, they're going to do a lot of damage. Vinny, hang on. I'm going to come right back to you. 650 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let's go right back to Vinny in New Hampshire. Vinny, you were making the, I think, very perceptive point that, look, January 20th is when Trump is going to be inaugurated. Really, from now until then, what is it? Maybe 2.5 months or whatever it is. The Democrats, Harris, Biden, can do a lot of damage. Please, Vinny, pick up where you left off.
Yeah, as I was saying, I mean, this is a long stretch. They could do a lot of damage by executive orders. I voted in New Hampshire. And none of the polls that I went to, because I voted in my hometown and then I had to drive my sister in her town. No one was holding Harris signs. None whatsoever. My son is in a different town. My nephew's in it. No one had Harris signs. Yet she took New Hampshire. I ain't buying that, but that's neither here nor there. But as I said, I mean, just like Maura Healey, she's violated more laws in Massachusetts than you could shake a stick at. They can do a lot of damage in this short period of time. And, you know, with Trump, if he keeps his promises, which I hope he does, if he does a massive deportation, I think you're going to see a massive crime increase because these people are going to commit crimes just to stay in this country. All right? So we have to be vigilant, and I mean severely vigilant, that, you know, these illegals are not going to go peacefully. So it's great that Trump's in. I was as happy as a pig in slop. But we have to remember, you know, 60 days, whatever it is a long time.
Well, Vinny,
So
I think you're completely correct. And I would just add one more thing to your otherwise, I think, excellent call, which is I think they're already planning now their strategy to resist Trump. And it's going to be not just all-out resistance. They are now going to openly side with illegals against Trump, against the federal government, once he, you know, takes over on January 20th, and against the American people and against American citizens. And you don't even have to take my word for it. Maura Healey, okay, hold it Healey, this joke of a governor here in Massachusetts, went on MSNBC, you can look it up, the Larry O'Donnell show. And Larry O'Donnell, stop the hammering. Larry, stop the hammering O'Donnell. Said, you know, Massachusetts has a lot of illegals. Boston is a sanctuary city. Massachusetts is essentially a de facto sanctuary state. Trump is now vowing deportations of millions and millions of illegals, especially criminally convicted illegal aliens. Are you going to allow him to come into your state and take away these illegals? And her answer, and you can almost verbatim, you can, don't take my word for it. You can look it up. She said, the Massachusetts State Police, I will order them, do not cooperate. I will order all officials, do not cooperate. We will fight Trump inch by inch, every step of the way. I'm going to use my full power as governor to stop him. Every regulatory authority at my disposal and more. I am going to urge all the citizens, all the sanctuary cities, every tool in the toolbox. You will not grab one illegal alien and deport that person from Massachusetts. So essentially now, according to Healey, Massachusetts is essentially now we're talking semi-secession. This is treason. This is sedition. They are now, you know, basically saying, no, we don't respect the federal government. We don't respect federal law. We don't respect the will of the American people. You may have voted for Trump. You may have given him a clear mandate to seal the border, secure the border, stop this invasion, and start deporting millions and millions of illegals. But no. We are going to defy the election, defy the will of the people, defy the federal government itself. So she's already saying we will now be essentially in open conflict and defiance of Trump and the federal government. And the guy is still 2.5 months away from being inaugurated. Now, Vinny, if nobody else has the guts to say it, I'm going to say it. Maura Healey is a traitor. Maura Healey is openly coddling and protecting and shielding illegal aliens, illegals, people who broke our law, live in our state and our country illegally. And not only that, criminal illegal aliens, dangerous illegal aliens, who, by the way, are mooching off of our taxpayer money to the tune of billions and billions and billions of dollars. Massachusetts is going broke because of what Healy has done, flooding this state with illegals. And now this witch, this crazy moonbat, because she has ambitions in 2028, that's what this is all about now, Vinny. They're already thinking Kamala is gone. Okay, basically they kicked her in her rear end on the way out. That was the last you're going to hear from her after last night's or yesterday's pathetic concession speech. They're all angling for 2028. Now it's who can out moonbat who? Who can be more of an anti-Trump resistor? That's what this is all about. And she's basically saying, no, I'm going to turn Massachusetts into essentially a semi-independent country. We're going to basically we're not going to abide by the federal immigration law. We're not going to abide by Trump. We're going to stand here and we're going to protect every illegal, if need be, street by street, neighborhood by neighborhood, community by community. Now, my advice to Trump, very simple. She starts blocking your deportations, arrest her ass. Arrest her ass. This is obstruction of justice. This is flouting immigration law. This is now giving aid and comfort to people who are in our country illegally. It's got to end. These sanctuary cities and sanctuary state policies, these politicians need to be held accountable. Now, if we can fill up the jails with January 6ers for the crime of walking around and taking a selfie with a police officer, okay, for 10 minutes inside the Capitol, if they can put old ladies in jail for 15 years, I think we can put Holden Healy in prison for a couple of years for openly, flagrantly breaking the law and endangering the lives of her citizens that she is sworn to protect. Am I wrong, Vinny?
You're absolutely right. And she's an attorney. And when she passed this new retarded gun law in Massachusetts, she said straight out, I am not going to comply with the Supreme Court's order. Now, if you violate a court's order, that's a criminal offense. Okay? She's an attorney, and she said, no, I'm not going to abide by their order. I don't agree with it. Well, you know something? There's a lot of things I don't agree with, but the law is the law. Okay? This is why we have elections. This is why we have a House. We have a Senate. We do things legally. But I just feel that it's going to get real ugly, and that's why I said I pray that Trump keeps his promises, as he said, with the federal taxes on overtime, because if you make this country so great, no one's going to want to turn it back, okay? And I pray that I'm wrong, but I just feel that there's a major storm coming before the calm waters.
Vinny, thank you very much for that call. I really appreciate it. Look, let me ask all of you, Kuhner Country. This is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Do you think there will be a smooth transition for Donald Trump? Okay, for soon to be, again, President Donald Trump. So basically from now until he's inaugurated, whatever it is, I don't know if it's the 20th, 21st, please don't hold me on the exact date, but it's basically, mid-late January. So between now and January 20th, do you believe there will be a smooth transition of power? A, yes. B, no. Now, you want my honest opinion? I'm a no on this. It's not going to be smooth. It's going to be rough. It's going to be bumpy. It's going to be turbulent. It's going to be disruptive. But he is going to be inaugurated. They can't stop him because the mandate is too big, too strong, too decisive. He won the popular vote. By the way, it looks like it's going to hold 3.5 percentage points. That's massive. So he's won a big popular vote. Electoral college now, we're looking at 312. 301 minimum. But it looks like it's going to be 312. This is, a sweeping victory. And big coattails. He flipped the Senate. and they're going to hold the House, it looks like. So it's a clean sweep. They can't stop him. They just can't. They have to certify him. They can't stop him in the House. So he will be the next president. But are they going to make life difficult for him? Oh, you better believe it. But that's just me. I want to hear from you. A, yes, there will be a smooth transition. B, no. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhn as in National ER. On X, you can also vote there. Very active. I was super active last night. Got a lot of feedback from people. You can go at my handle, vote there, at the Kuhner Report, all one word, Kuhn as in National ER. Let's go to Kuhner Country's Western Pennsylvania correspondent, Dave in Pennsylvania, just outside of Pittsburgh. Dave, first of all, congratulations. You helped deliver Pennsylvania. And I also want to thank you for your yeoman work, your phenomenal work. You said Pennsylvania would come through. You were accurate throughout the entire election. You kept us informed, and you did an outstanding job. So, Dave, A, congratulations. B, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for your outstanding work. Dave, I hope you're taking a victory lap today because you deserve it, my friend. How are you?
Good morning, Jeff, and it's What's Running Wild? I want to hear you say it. What's running wild, brother?
Trumpomania, baby.
That's right. Hey, Jeff, I'm a little late for work, but my boss will understand. Jeff, let me tell you something, brother. That concession speech was disgusting, okay? Hey, Jeff, she can stick to her morals. Good. I'm going to stick to my morals. I'm not going to kill kids like they do. And, you know, and then infanticide out of the womb. And Tampon Tim can go shove the tampons where the sun don't shine. But, Jeff, with all due respect, I don't mean to correct you. You're a man of God. I love Sandy and I love Mike. But this was a victory like a crusading victory, Jeff. We did it together. We did it by the power of the Holy Trinity, God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. And if that makes the left mad, go back and worship Damien, your devil. Okay? I'm going to be raw, Jeff. I'm going salt into the wound, brother. And
Dave, buddy, I got to ask you this very quickly. The media is trying to spin this furiously. This wasn't a victory for Trump. Well, I mean, it was, but they're saying this was a victory for racism, sexism, misogyny. This is why Pennsylvania rejected Kamala. All you guys out there in Western PA, all you guys around the suburbs of Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania, that you guys are all a bunch of racist, sexist, chauvinistic pigs. Dave, what say you?
I think they are, Jeff, because remember, the rules for radicals, they dedicated their book to Lucifer, Satan, the very devil himself. So guess what, Jeff? What they say we are, they are. They're looking right back in the mirror, Jeff, and they're like Dracula. They can't see their reflection in the mirror because in spirit, we got the Holy Spirit on our side, Jeff.
Dave, God bless you. I know you got to get to work, my friend, and thank you once again for all your incredible work. Dave, as always, great call. 617-266-6868. Aaron in Idaho. Thanks for holding, Aaron, and welcome.
Well, first, I want to say that I grew up in a middle-class family, and America has been unburdened by what has been. Forgive me, Father Jeff, for I have sinned. All year long, you kept saying landslide, landslide, landslide. And I said, oh, come on, he's going to squeak out a win by one or two states. If you had said Trump was going to win the popular vote and all 7 swing states, I would have said, okay, Kuhner, time for bed. Wee-oo, wee-oo. This is a history election for me because this is the first time ever I've voted for president, and they've gotten both the Electoral College and popular vote. So history is made for me. three big points, then I have a question for you. If you need to go to commercial break, I understand. Anyway, the reason why I was so worried about this election is because, remember, 2 years ago I called you today to rant about the midterm election. The Republicans have a nasty history of screwing things up, like the Dallas Cowboys. As Stephen A. Smith would say, what can go wrong will go wrong. So I was wondering, okay, what are the Republicans going to screw up this time? But they didn't. They turned out massively. And it ain't just national. Even here in Idaho, we kicked out our own Mitch McConnell. We had our squish Senate Majority Leader, voted him out of the primaries. We have 15 fresh faces in the state legislature. To answer your question on Generation Z, why did they break for Trump? Because we have had it with this Stockholm Syndrome. Generation Z boys have been told, because you're a boy, you're a part of the problem. You're toxic masculinity. Do you have any idea how many young boys I talked to yesterday who were elated Trump won? For years, the youth vote used to go to the Democrats. Now it's the Republicans to lose. Now, I do want to give a warning to the GOP. You know me, Jeff. I like to come back down to earth. Now that we have this massive victory, dear GOP, this is your last chance to get this right. No more excuses like John crying Boehner did. No more we only control 1/3 or 1/2 of the government, or Nancy Pelosi's mean. We can't get anything passed. No more meager Mike. I want either Ted Cruz or Rand Paul for Senate Majority Leader. You better keep your promises. No tax on tips. I work for tips. So that is a big deal to me. We have to deliver on making America great again, or the GOP is going to go the way of the Whig Party, and it deserves to. Now, here is my question. Now that Trump has won the landslide, will either you or Dr. Grace please be Trump's press secretary?
Aaron, thank you. Honestly, excellent points across the board. And thank you for that. No, I'm very happy behind the microphone here, Aaron. Believe me, we're looking to the audience has grown exponentially. In fact, we just had a conversation with some people yesterday. They say our streaming numbers are off the charts. People are listening to us all over the country, all over the world, and we've got bigger plans for this show. So, no, Aaron, I'm going to be staying behind this mic. But Aaron, look, you've made so many good points. Let me just address one of your questions. You talked about the 2022 midterms and how the red wave turned into a red trickle. Well, it's obvious what the difference now in retrospect is. Ronna McDaniel was running the RNC in 2022. In 2024, it was Lara Trump and Michael Whatley. Basically, it was Trump's people who were running the Republican National Committee and overseeing the election campaign and the election strategy this time around. Now, look, I'm not trying to take anything away from Lara Trump and Michael Whatley. All I'm just saying is they were on Trump's side. They were in his corner. They weren't looking to sabotage him. And that alone made an immense difference. I'm not saying they're not talented. I'm not saying they're not smart. I'm not saying they didn't work, their rear ends off, their tails off. I'm sure they did all of that. I'm not knocking their competency. I'm sure they're both very smart, very talented, very competent. But at the most basic fundamental level, they're not shivving their own people in the back. That's what Ronna McDaniel kept doing again and again and again. So when you don't have a saboteur, when you don't, forgive me, have a Judas who constantly keeps undermining you and sabotaging you, it's amazing what you can achieve. Now, if only here in Massachusetts they could wake up and get rid of the Judases that are running the Massachusetts Republican Party, and of course their media allies in the Boston Herald and others who worship at the altar of the almighty buck, and it's greed that runs them, and not principle and patriotism, you'd be amazed what we could do even here in Blue Massachusetts. But let that go, Aaron. Aaron, that was the difference. is that Trump understood you can't turn the Republican Party around until you get rid of all the rhinos from leadership. And he's going to have to do that more as he gets ready for when he gets inaugurated. If he does that, he's going to have an immensely successful presidency. And just like you said, he's going to save, modernize, and grow the Republican Party. He will be the salvation, not just of the country, but of the Republican Party. The rhinos must go. They're a cancer on the party and on the country. Liz Cheney is rhino numero uno. She went all in for Kamala Harris. That tells you everything you need to know. Dick Cheney, all in for Kamala. That tells you everything you need to know. So, chase the money changers out of the temple. Let them go to the Democrats because that's where they belong. 7:20 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, so as many of you know, what was it, maybe 2:30, 3 o'clock yesterday in the early morning, that Trump was proclaimed the winner. You know, he won Georgia, he won North Carolina, and then, of course, they said Pennsylvania now was his. He reached the magic number of 270, and now he was declared the winner. So we're basically 24 hours away, you know, give or take a few hours, from Trump having won, you know, having been declared the winner of the election. It's barely 24 hours. It's a day. Maura Healey now, governor of Massachusetts, there's going to be others, but trust me on this, has now come out and said she will openly defy any attempts by Trump to deport illegal aliens from any city, any town, anywhere in Massachusetts. She says we are a sanctuary state. We are going to stay a sanctuary state, and that she will use every tool possible, whether it be regulatory, executive authority on her part, ordering law enforcement not to cooperate with ICE, but that they are going to shield and protect every single illegal alien, including criminal illegals, meaning those who've convicted of not just coming into the country illegally, but of, you know, murders, rapes, burglaries, whatever, all kinds of crimes. Now, many of you in Kuhner country out there on the text machine are saying, Jeff, it's time for Trump when he gets inaugurated, when he gets installed in power, to cut all federal funding. If she is going to break the law, and that's what she's doing, break federal immigration law, openly defy the federal government, and engage in blatantly lawless, illegal, unconstitutional behavior, cut off all federal funding. And if that doesn't work, arrest her. Arrest her and every other sanctuary city mayor that stands with Maura Healey. Enough is enough. Agree, disagree. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, this is from 603. Jeff, the media and the left should have learned a lesson from this election, but they seem incapable of doing so. The longer they resort to name-calling, the easier the elections will be for us, and the more results like Tuesday's will continue to occur. Their hatred of Trump simply overrides their ability to think logically. Bingo 603. I mean, this is a no-brainer. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. Inflation ruined the economy, the cost of living for countless middle working class Americans. And what did the Biden regime first tell us? It wasn't happening. Then, okay, it is happening, but it's transitory. Then, well, no, it's not transitory. Just go ahead and live with it. So you refuse to address the central economic concern of the overwhelming majority of the American people. And on top of that, you deliberately, on your own, this was unilaterally, unleashed a border crisis of historic proportions. You brought in the 20 million illegals. You deliberately undid all of Trump's successful border policies. So the country's overrun by illegals. Crime is exploding. Our neighborhoods and communities have now become dangerous. The economy is tanking. Gas prices and food and grocery prices are soaring. Americans are barely treading water. And you're telling them now that they're all a bunch of racists and misogynists? Okay. I mean, keep telling yourself that fiction. Now, I can play you many cuts. I just want to play one. Listen now. This is Joe Scarborough, who literally lost his mind when Trump was declared the winner. This is him on MSDNC. Roll cut 11. Mike.
I just say really quickly, too. Democrats need to be mature, and they need to be honest. And they need to say, yes, there's misogyny. But it's not just misogyny from white men. Mm-hmm. It's misogyny from Hispanic men. Right. It's misogyny from black men, things we've all been talking about, who do not want a woman leading them. It might be race issues with Hispanics. They don't want a black woman as president of the United States. You know, the Democratic Party, I've always found when you're sitting around talking, they love to just sort of balkanize everybody into these separate groups and say, oh, white people don't like women and black people. No, it is time for the Democrats to say, okay, and you and I have talked about this before, a lot of Hispanic voters have problems with black candidates.
Right.
A lot
and
of,
with other Hispanics. You've got some that don't like each other.
That was Reverend Al Sharpton, the non-reverend. By the way, he looked like he was at a wake. Anyway, so there. So here you go. Here you go. What'd I tell you? Huh? So blacks are racist against blacks. Latinos are racist against blacks and brown people. And, well, whites were racist against everybody. This is now this is their introspection. This is what they've concluded to why they lost. They are unhinged, disconnected, and I'm telling you, they're desperate. The Trump train keeps on rolling, baby. 7:31 on the great WRKO. All aboard. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, 617-266-6868. Lines are on fire. Hillary in Maryland. Thanks for holding, Hillary, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. I just wanted to make a comment, and then your texters stole my thunder a little bit on what Trump might be able to do to retaliate against those people like Maura Healey who are trying to oppose him on giving up the illegal aliens. However, I'm just going to make a comment about, what you were talking about with the pundits and stuff, calling the voters racist, misogynist. I had to chuckle because, wow, now some other groups besides whites are being called racist and misogynist. I guess I wanted to keep affirming that, that word, was invented, I believe, by Trotsky, the famous communist, and it's always been used to shame and marginalize and silence. And I suspect that the other groups probably don't care as much as whites do for when they're called those things, because they probably just chuckle to themselves because they haven't been, the victim of being called that as much. But I just wanted to throw out a thing instead of, clutching our pearls as far as them calling us voters that is, I just find it kind of ironic because I just kind of, you ignore them. I mean, if they're calling the voters racist, it's kind of ironic that these are the people that went on and on about how they cherished and wanted to save democracy, right? They wanted to save democracy. And so that's the result that they got from democracy, and they don't like it. In other words, say it hypothetically, just say it was true for a minute. And the people voted according to their reasons, their individual reasons, and they got the result that they got. Well, that's democracy, right? So they can't have it both ways. You either, accept that you want to preserve democracy, and that's, the be-all, end-all, or you want to shame people into not voting the way that you voted and come up with excuses why you didn't win.
Oh, Hillary, you're dead on. I mean, man, you're really you're clicking on all cylinders. And look, just to add to what you're saying, and I thought your points are brilliant. Look, you're completely right. These are the ones that are going on about democracy, democracy, democracy. Now, look, they're all admitting, they can't deny it. This, for Trump, he won fair and square. As Mark Cuban came out and said, look, let's not claim he cheated. He didn't cheat. He got every vote for him was a legitimate vote. He beat Kamala fair and square. That's it. So the people have spoken. Well, that's democracy. So if you're saying you're going to defend democracy and you cherish and, revere democracy, now all of a sudden you're spitting on all the voters because you lost? And you see, this is what I don't get, Hillary. Well, I mean, I do get it, but I just can't wrap my mind around it. This was the revenge of ordinary, working, regular class Americans. That's really what this fundamentally at its core, many other aspects to it, but really we took our country back. This was Americans saying, America for Americans, not for illegals, not for globalist elites, not for Ukraine, not for countries around the world. No, we're going to put our people, fellow Americans, first. Full stop. Now, they're not Nazis. They're not racists. They're not garbage. They're ordinary, hardworking people like you, like me, honestly, like 99.9% of this audience, who get up every day, most of us early in the morning, and break our back, work hard, pay our taxes, and come home, and we just want to put a roof over our head and feed our families. And when our country needs us, like you, Hillary, because I know you're a vet, you served our country, we go and fight and defend our country. Now, instead of spitting in our faces, instead of calling us names now because you lost, why don't you listen to us? Why don't you speak to us? Why don't you talk to us? Why don't you ask us, why did you vote for Trump? And maybe the answer will shock you. Could it possibly be because we can't afford our grocery bills? Because you guys racked up so much spending and you had to print so much money that it drove inflation to a 40-year historic high, a crisis? Could it be, I'll just give you an example, could it be because my energy bill has doubled? Could that be it? Could it be, Hillary, that my car insurance went up 60%? Could it be now that, that poor guy I met at Stop and Shop, who literally has to work a second shift, 80 hours a week, just to pay his rent, food, and bills. And he says, I'm barely treading water. And say to yourself, my God, maybe the guy isn't a racist. Maybe he isn't a misogynist. Maybe he's just a guy who's been so shafted by the elites in Washington and by the Harris-Biden regime that regular, ordinary people have said, we've had enough. And maybe, just maybe, if you cared about the working, middle-class, hardworking people of this country, maybe you wouldn't have been humiliated, and that's what this was. This wasn't just a defeat, Hillary. They got humiliated. I mean, we cleaned Harris's clock. We cleaned Biden's clock. I mean, Trump knocked him out. He's the only guy that I can think of that literally they took the nomination from him. That's how badly he performed. And they've lost the Senate, and they're pretty much now, the Republicans are going to hold the House, and they got beat in almost every corner of the country. And instead of saying, because Hillary, I'm telling you, whenever I lose, really, my first, and I'm sure you're the same, what did I do wrong? Let's look at the tape. Did I not work enough? Did I not train enough? Did I not, well, whatever. What was my strategy wrong? Did I underestimate my opponent? What did I do wrong? I've never seen idiots like these liberals. I swear, they really are narcissistic, self-absorbed frauds. It's always somebody else's fault. Always, always, always. And now it's getting to the point where it's the theater of the absurd. Like, really, Hillary, they're running out of groups to call racist, sexist, and misogynistic. If you want, I can play you Sunny Hostin on The View. Now she's going after white women. White women now are sexist and misogynistic. Like, so basically now it's black women so far, Latino women, it's hit and miss. Sometimes they are misogynistic, sometimes they're not. Latino men, no, they've written them off. That's the Klan. Black men, that's the Klan. Asians, that's the Klan. Whites, as you pointed out, well, that's always been the Klan for them. So you're kind of running out of groups. You're spitting on young people. It's group after group after group. Pretty soon you're going to look around. Really, it's getting to that point. Guys, either the world's crazy or we're crazy. And I don't think the world is crazy. Final word to you, Hillary.
Kind of ironic and kind of laughable that, if you don't vote for us, you're evil by definition because you didn't vote for us. There's no self-reflection. Like you said, there's no self-awareness. It's really comical in a way to see. And I just think that, these people are literally losers and I think they should be ignored, but I just wanted to make that comment.
Hillary, as always, I love it when you call. Please, Hillary, you should call more often. Please, don't be a stranger. Thank you for that call. Anthony in Michigan. Anthony! Michigan delivered big time, my friend. The Wolverine State.
Jeff, the UAW guys were all Trumpsters. I told you that back in 16 and they did it again. Hey, Jeff, can you feel the joy or what?
Oh, I'm feeling the good vibes, Anthony. Good vibes, a lot of joy, my friend.
You had a big part of it in Kuhner Country. Thank you. Listen, Nixon was more gracious when Kennedy stole it from him in 60, but let that go. So, Jeff, let's get on to Trump the Destroyer. He destroyed the Clinton and Bush dynasties. The Pravda media is almost gone and has been replaced by X and podcast. And podcast, Trump's utilization of them came from his son Barron, said, this is where you're going to reach my generations. But the big one, Jeff, with Camilla, because she was Obama's pick in 20 to be president, this could be the destruction of the Obama dynasty, but more importantly, him being a disciple and Cloud and Piven, and may that be a stake in those two ideologies' heart. But, Jeff, I need your opinion. Will the McCain dynasty and that illegitimate, evil voting machine in Arizona have a metaphorical stake put in its heart if Kari Lake pulls it out?
Oh, listen, I'm praying for Kari Lake. Look, I thought it looked it did look bad. It looked very, very glum yesterday, but she's inching up. She could still pull this thing out, Anthony. And if she pulls this thing out, it's the end of the McCain machine in Arizona. I mean, Trump is on the verge of defeating and burying all of our enemies. Thank you for that call, Anthony. Yeah, baby. Hey, I'm still on a high, my friend. Trump does it. The political comeback, the greatest comeback in American history. And liberal minds and heads are exploding all around the country. We've got a montage for you. Oh, you want to laugh? Well, I'm just going to play it a little bit later in the show. Liberals, moonbats, I'm talking melting down. It is so funny. It is so hilarious. Losing their minds. when they hear the news that Trump won. Just keep playing it over and over and over and over. We've got some cuts for you, some clips for you. You are going to laugh like you've never laughed before. I promise we're going to play that a little bit later in the show. 7:50 here on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull, baby. 617-266-6868. Okay, double-barreled question. Did you see Kamala's so-called concession speech where she barely conceded and wouldn't congratulate Trump and then just kept saying, fight him, resist him, basically saying, let's cripple his presidency before he even gets installed into office? And what did you make of it? Number two, President Donald Trump now already facing massive resistance. Many blue state governors like Maura Healey are saying they will refuse to comply with any deportations of illegals, any attempt to enforce federal immigration law. Should they have all funding revoked for Massachusetts, but California, others will join, believe me. And should they be arrested? I say yes. What say you? Heather in Rockland. Thanks for holding, Heather, and welcome.
Hey, Jeffrey. Well, you just asked the question that I was going to ask you. So I think they should definitely, I was going to say, won't he just hold back federal funding to make them comply with the deportation of illegals? That's what I assumed he was going to do. That was my main question. And he is going to do it in stages, right, for the deportation. Like, he's going to do it in certain stages, right? Like, obviously he can't deport all of the illegals at once. They have to be done, I would think, in stages, right?
Well, Heather, look, this is, I mean, please take this to the bank. I got to be careful how I couch this, but trust me, I know for a fact exactly what they're going to do, okay? Let me just put it to you this way. Phase one, and they're going to do this almost immediately, complete the entire border wall, militarize the border. They're going to hire a ton of Border Patrol agents, drones, all kinds of assets. That thing is going to be the most secure border in the history of the world. What I am urging Trump to do, now this part has not been confirmed yet. I said, Donald, you want a masterpiece, a PR masterpiece? The 87,000 IRS agents say, no. We're going to turn them into 87,000 Border Patrol agents. And just take the funding for the so-called IRS agents and say, no, we're getting rid of all these IRS agents like I promised, but the money stays to hire 87,000 Border Patrol agents. I think it's going to be a political PR masterstroke, okay? But let that go. He's going to completely seal and secure that border. So the invasion is going to stop within a week. So within a week, it's gone. Okay, the invasion stops. Then they've already announced they're going to do a massive roundup and deportation of millions and millions of criminal illegal aliens. All the gangs out, MS-13, Trender Aragua, murderers, rapists, sexual predators, burglars, robbers, whatever, mugger. They're going to send them all out. It's going to be one of the biggest mass deportations in American history. So, Heather, think about this. What Maura Healey is saying, and Gavin Newsom now they're all going to start saying it. What they're saying is they're going to defend convicted murderers, rapists, sexual predators, child molesters, and gangbangers. This is how insane these people are. They're that unhinged. So if I'm Trump, the whole country is going to back him. Most Democrats are going to back him. If I'm Trump, big press conference and say, I'm cutting all your federal funding. Nothing for your roads, nothing for your schools, nothing for your hospitals until you open up your sanctuary cities and let my Border Patrol agents get in there and start deporting these mass murderers, rapists, and child molesters. So who's going to win this PR battle? Trump. Then after that, they're going to start to really go after other illegals. The migrants, for example, the Haitian migrants in up in Ohio, in Springfield, Ohio. Trump is going to say they're all illegals. Immediately, they're going to flip their status from to illegal, and they're all being sent back to Haiti. So it's going to be in multiple phases. You can't do everything all at once. But when he says we're sending 20 million back, Heather, 20 million are going back.
Okay. So one other question.
Yes.
So what about people that have warrants for their deportation? Will he send those type of people back too?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. No. I was just really curious how this was all going to pan out, exactly what you said. I love that plan, and I think it's brilliant. I mean, I think it's going to be amazing.
And Heather, just so that you know, and this is what's driving the liberals insane. I know who Trump is. I can't say this, but I know who Trump is talking to help him oversee, implement, and execute this plan. They're looking at it almost like a military style operation. And what I mean is, because the libs are going to start freaking out, the military on the streets, dictatorship. No, military style. In other words, it's going to be very quick, very well coordinated, a lot of resources. This is not going to be some haphazard, deportation. Eisenhower did it in the 1950s. Millions of illegals were deported out. Trump is going to do the exact same thing. And he's going to smash these sanctuary cities. He's going to smash these sanctuary states. He knows there's going to be rabid opposition. He's ready for it. And let me just tell you this, Heather. The moment it begins to happen, other illegals are going to flee on their own. Also, he's going to dry up all the welfare money. He says, look, a lot of these people are going to leave on their own. They're going to leave on their own because they're no longer going to be staying at 5-star hotels on our dime. No more food stamps. No more $64 a day at catered meals per illegal. No more computers and laptops and, free housing and, those days are gone. No more free health insurance, free food, free education. Out. And many are just going to leave on their own. Now, when that happens, Heather, trust me when I tell you this, you're going to see crime decrease so fast, it's going to make your head spin. You're going to see rent prices go down considerably because so much of the housing shortage is because of all this crush of migrants or illegals that they've, 20 million of them that they've allowed to pour into our country. So that's already going to bring pressure on housing down. Rents are going to come down. Inflation is going to come down. Crime is going to drastically come down. Our streets are going to be much safer and, frankly, cleaner. And our schools are not going to be overcrowded. Our hospitals are not going to be overcrowded. So within 3 to 6 months, you're going to feel an incredible change just in the quality and standard of life in America. Just by doing what the federal government should be doing. Final word to you, Heather.
All right, another topic for another day, but isn't it time that we have a recall for Maura Haley? I mean, come on.
Heather, look, I'm hoping that she goes through with her threat to actively block and defy Trump. I hope, because I'm telling you, I'm urging Trump, arrest her ass. Now, first cut off the federal funding. Okay? No. Cut off the federal funding. Give her a warning because they've got this whole dictator shtick. Okay? So you're in open defiance of the law, federal immigration law. You're obstructing justice. You're obstructing border patrol. You're obstructing law enforcement. We're cutting off all federal funding. But if this continues and you continue to damage and harm the people of your state, look, this is going to affect firefighters, police, nurses, teachers, hospitals, schools, roads. Now, she's going to cave. I'm telling you, she's going to capitulate. She's going to roll over like a cheap suit. But say she's really crazy and ambitious, and she wants to win 2028. I'm going to stay here no matter what. Let my people eat cake. Roll into Border Patrol, send them in, arrest her ass. Make an example of her and the other blue state governors. Sanctuary cities, sanctuary states are illegal, unconstitutional, and they need to be removed, full stop. No more beating around the bush. 801, you know what that means? Normally we do it on Friday, but tomorrow is Veterans Day, and we are holding a special radiothon in honor of Veterans Day to raise money for disabled American veterans. So tomorrow, the Kuhner Man, we're doing our annual radiothon to raise money for those that sacrifice so much for us. So we've moved Kuhner's call log up until to Thursday, today. So, but we still do it at the same time. It's now 8:02. Forgive me, I'm 2 minutes late. Caller of the week, Kuhner's call log.
It's time for Kuhner's Call Log, where we showcase our favorite caller from the week.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Good morning, America. How sweet it is, Ginger Jeff. What a beautiful day.
Like you and all the rest of the people with a brain, I'm jumping up and down myself this morning.
Donald Trump tore down that blue wall, baby.
Spreche Sie Deutsch, Feldmarschall von Kuhner? We have won the war. Congratulations. We have done it. We have done it, my friend. Jawohl. No more looking at Corinne Jean-Pierre's face. No more Alejandro Mayakas. No more communism.
Hey, Jeff, did you hear all the bubbles popping? All the bubbles of disinformation, misinformation.
I couldn't watch it. And then I woke up this morning and I looked at my phone and my friend Chucky texted. He said, we did it. I was like, oh, God. I was so excited.
Hallelujah. 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 Ding dong, the witch is dead. Ding dong, the witch is dead. Ding dong, the witch is dead. And another one's gone, and another one's gone, and another one's gone, and another one bites the dust.
And next week, it could be you on Kuhner's Call Log.
Please, don't be a stranger. Call again. Mike put this montage together. Mike, congratulations. Amazing job. Outstanding job. This is the best Kuhner's Call Log ever. And Mike had more. We could have just kept going and going and going. Honestly, I'm never going to forget yesterday. One of the I'm still on cloud nine. Please don't get me wrong. But I mean, one of the happiest days of my life. We did it, baby. Okay. 617-266-6868 is the number. All right, just one super quick point. Please indulge me on this. I promise I'm going to go right back to the phone calls. I said this to Grace as well over dinner, and I said I was going to mention it on the air today. And I know you're not going to want to hear this. And I know Trump's people are not going to want to hear this because they're going to start to find you a little bit of like a pain in the rear end, like a gadfly. But to the president or the incoming president, okay? I'm going to call him the president. To President-elect Trump, please don't forget the January 6ers rotting in jail. I know you got a lot on your plate. Believe me, nobody knows that more than the Kuhner Man. I know you've got a million problems to fix. Okay, by the way, the guy hasn't stopped working. He ran a marathon campaign. 20-hour days, worked like a dog. Last 36 hours, he's already putting together his cabinet. It's meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. Chief of Staff, Secretary of the Treasury, Secretary of State. I mean, he's put Robert F. Kennedy now, by the way, is already saying agencies are going to be completely shut down in the FDA. They're going after Fauci. Fauci apparently is really nervous. I mean, he's, it's not like I would say, hey, take a few days off. You deserve it, man. Relax. Recharge your batteries. I don't know, he loves Diet Coke. Sip a couple Diet Cokes. Kick back a little bit. Play some golf. Enjoy your family. You haven't seen him in God knows how many months. Still working around the clock, nonstop. God bless him. So I know there's a lot on your plate. I get it. Those people went to jail to protest a stolen election. They were railroaded by the deep state. They were railroaded by the corrupt Department of Justice and FBI. On 99.9% of them were unfairly put behind bars, and many of them have been rotting there for years. And if you don't do anything, they're going to rot there for many more years to come. They have been praying every night, I know this for a fact, for you to have won the election, because they realize you are their only hope and their only salvation. I'm urging you as strongly as I can possibly urge you, and forgive me, but I'm going to make a pain out of myself. I'm going to be a real pain in your neck if you don't, on the first day, issue a pardon to every single J6er. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. All 1,500 of them. And let them come home and be with their families and regain their freedom again. And if you don't do it on the first day, I believe you will. And I'm urging you. I'm pleading with you. I'm asking you. In fact, let me say this openly on the air, okay? Many in Trump's camp are saying, Jeff, would you like something in return? I don't want anything in return. I really don't. Just free the J6ers. And let's call it even Steven. Please. That's all I'm asking for. And to all of you in Kuhner country, be patient with me, because I know many of you, obviously like me, are big Trump supporters and you're not going to like it. But if by the second day and the third day and the fourth day in his administration, he hasn't issued that pardon, I am going to keep reminding him, and I'm going to keep nagging him about it. And I think the longer he waits, the worse it's going to be, because the media is going to make a big deal about it. So it's like ripping off a Band-Aid. Do it on day one. One of the first things he should do, executive order, on the spot, mass pardon to every single January 6er. And if he doesn't do it, as I said, I think he will. I'm confident he will. But if not, Kuhnerman is going to be on your case. And I'm not going to like a dog with a bone, I'm not going to let this one go. So please, Kuhner country, let's all pray for the J6ers. We're free. They're not. They're behind bars. We're not. They deserve their freedom. They've earned their freedom. They've paid the price. They've been more than punished for what happened. They need to come home. 617-266-6868. So President Trump, please, from the bottom of my heart, issue a pardon, every single one of them, on day one. John in Westford. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Morning, Jeff. Yeah, I'm calling about the poll question of the day.
Yes, go ahead, John.
This transition is going to be interesting. The federal transition team has been reaching out to Trump for months, just in case he won. And he kept saying, nope, I've got my own people, and it's privately funded. He's going in there with none of their help, because the transition team is the deep state. And he's going to go in there and just kick down doors. And in my mind, I have this meme. It's Trump holding a leash, 3 leashes, with junkyard dogs just growling at the deep swamp in the distance. And the faces of those dogs are Bannon, Elon Musk, and RFK Jr. And the caption would be like, release the hounds, or the dogs of war.
Oh, I love it. I love it. The dogs of war. I love it. I love it. John, look, one of the key positions in his cabinet, obviously RFK, key role, Elon Musk, he says he's going to cut $2 trillion from the budget. If he does that, he's a genius. I mean, $2 trillion, that's our deficit. So if he does that, my God, what that will do for this country in terms of its long-term economic fiscal health. JD is going to be his right-hand man. Secretary of State is going to big position. We've got wars to wind down. But Attorney General, that's the key position, because the Attorney General is the one that's going to have to clean out the FBI, the DOJ, go after the deep state, FBI, CIA. I mean, go after the Democrats who broke the law, spied on Trump, framed Trump, engaged in lawfare against Trump. Is there anyone, John, that you want to see as that pit bull, that dog of war, running the Department of Justice?
I think he was Middle Eastern or maybe Indian. He has kind of a googly eye. Does it ring a bell?
Sorry, John, I didn't hear the first part of your sentence. In fact, you know what? We're up against a break. John, please think about it. I want to come back to you after this break. And because Trump's already, talk about lightning speed. He's already putting together his cabinet. I know a lot of you want Rudy. I want him too. I think he's too old. Who should be AG? 21 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, we've pretty much, what would you say, Mike and Sandy? I think we've done the whole cabinet. So, Trump is looking at, I'm going to go right back to John in Westford, I promise. But apparently Tulsi Gabbard now is the front runner for Secretary of Defense. Great choice. It looks like it's going to be either probably Marco Rubio, but also Rick Grinnell. Those are the two top candidates for Secretary of State. Tom Cotton was going to be offered a major role in the cabinet. Senator Cotton from Arkansas, he says no, he'd rather stay in the Senate. Now, before we go back to John in Westford, Sandy made a really good point. Maybe the perfect, ideal Attorney General candidate. You're talking about a war, like a pit bull, the dogs of war, would be Josh Hawley. Senator Josh Hawley, he's a lawyer, talking about a pit bull. He's a MAGA conservative to his core, a Trump loyalist. Would really clean out the Department of Justice, the FBI, the CIA, and he would go after all of those crooked, corrupt Democrats that spied on Trump, framed Trump, lied about Trump, all the crimes that were committed, those that engaged in the weaponization of justice and the lawfare campaign against him. But he just won his seat. And Missouri is a very important state. It's a key Senate seat. I don't think Hawley wants to give it up. And I don't know if it's in our interest to lose such a valuable seat when, yes, we've picked up seats in the Senate, but still, it's not a big majority. What's it going to be? 52, maybe 53 seats? So I like Hawley in theory. And as Sandy and I said, if we could clone him, I think he'd be the perfect person for the job. But politics is about the art of the possible. And so I don't think it's going to be Hawley. I mean, you never know, but I don't think so. So let's go back to John in Westford. John, you're talking about unleashing the dogs of war. Elon, Robert F. Kennedy, who already says he's going to clean out a lot of the FDA and go after Fauci hard. You've got others, Tulsi Gabbard. Who would you like to see as the Attorney General under Trump? Because I think that's going to be one of the, if not the most important position in his cabinet.
Next dog. He's a Trump insider. The deep state hates him. He was vocal about the January 6th hoax. He was on the National Security Council. He's young. He can't be bought. Kash Patel.
Interesting. You know what, John? I like that. John, I like that. John, I know a lot of people in the audience have a lot of affection for Rudy Giuliani. I do as well. And, he's a lawyer and a former prosecutor. I just think he's in his 80s. I don't know if he has the energy, the stamina, The poor guy, they've bankrupted him. Maybe he would have been great in 2016 as the AG, but I think he's too past his prime. What say you?
Yep. No, I agree.
Interesting.
I agree.
John, Thank you, my friend. I think you set it up beautifully. Unleash the dogs of war through the cabinet. Amanda in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Amanda, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. I have to tell you, I finally caught up on some sleep last night, and so I feel like I am actually excited. I can breathe. And before I say anything, I just have to tell you, I am so grateful for this entire Kuhner Country community. We did this together. And when you think back on how hard these last 4 years have been on all of us, there were, I think all last year, definitely all through last summer, I was working 7 days a week and raising 2 kids. And still barely getting by. And to every Monday through Friday, when you get up as early as most of us do, and you're able for 4 hours to turn on the radio and just listen to people that are going through the same things you are, it gets you through and it gets you by. These past 4 years have been probably the hardest of my life. And I am so grateful. When you have Barbara from Maryland, how many times has she told you, Jeff, to calm down, relax? She said that to all of us. You have Ginger Betty bouncing off the walls, all excited. She lifts you up. You have, Mags in New Hampshire yelling at us to God bless Kuhner Country. It motivates you. And, listen to people like Kristen. Kirsten, she went to prison. She's one of the J6ers. And
Amanda, you're on a roll. Mike, I don't know what to tell you, man. There's some things in life for a sense of timing. Hard break. Okay, Amanda, Mike is cracking the whip. I got to go to a hard break. Please hang on. We'll take it on the other side. 8:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, liberalism's worst nightmare, baby. 617-266-6868. Okay, let's go right back to Amanda. Thank you for holding, Amanda. We got cut off, but I'm very happy you made this point because we've always been a community here, obviously on the Kuhner Report, but really the last 4 years were hard punishing years. And it's like it's brought all of us closer. And honestly, I feel now we really are a family. And we help each other, we listen to each other, we cry together, we laugh together, we get angry together, we celebrate together, and we did it. We really did it, Amanda. And I completely agree with you. And that's why the callers almost take on a life and a personality, of their own. And it's funny because you meet callers and you feel like you've known them your whole life because they're just, they're so articulate and they each have such distinct, strong characters and personalities. And really, it's almost like, a second family. Am I wrong, Amanda?
Tell you, even Bill from Sudbury, he's the dysfunctional, weird, drunk uncle that everybody has in their family, right? You can't understand him. But yesterday, I get up super early, and, I got 2 kids. They have to get up early with me because I got to go to work. And, yesterday we got in the car, turned on the radio, and you had just came on, and you were playing God Bless the USA. And I looked in my rearview mirror, and my 10-year-old daughter, her eyes were welling up. And she goes, Mom, don't laugh at me. I don't know what's wrong with me. And I said, nothing's wrong with you. I said, Evelyn, you hold on to that feeling right there because that is American pride. This is what it should feel like to be an American. You should be listening to God Bless the USA and crying tears of joy, not, crying over, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay my mortgage this week or, buy snacks for the kids. There's a big difference. And, we hung on to hope and said that there was light at the end of the tunnel, and it's here. And there's a clip on YouTube. Anthony and I were watching it last night. It was at the Trump headquarters, and it was everybody singing How Great Thou Art. And I encourage everybody to go on there and watch it, because that sound, it'll bring you to tears. And I am just so grateful and happy, and I feel like I can finally breathe again, Jeff.
You know, Amanda, you really summed up my same feeling I have. Grace, she said the exact same thing to me in the car last night. We were driving after dinner. We went to Chipotle. The kids were like, Daddy, come on, Daddy, let's celebrate. I was hoping for a steak dinner, but Grace was too tired, and the kids were like, no, come on, Daddy, we got to celebrate. They love Chipotle. So we went to Chipotle. And on the way back, Grace says, you know, I feel exactly what you said. I can breathe again. Like 1,000 pounds has been lifted off my shoulder. And I said, no, really? I said, honey, you have to understand. They put a boot on our neck. That's what the last 4 years were. Biden and Harris put a boot on the neck of the United States and on the neck of every middle working class person in this country. And now, even though that boot is still technically on, we know it's coming off. And just that fact that we know that it's coming off, we can begin having a normal life again. And Amanda, look, you know me, I'm a Main Street and not a Wall Street guy. But stock market yesterday, all-time high. It surged just on the news of Donald Trump winning. Stock market, all-time high. Bank stocks, all-time high. Financial sector, stocks, all-time high. And the reason why is because now all the business papers are reporting with Trump and Elon and all, everything that is coming in on January 20th, companies from around the world, trillions of dollars, trillions, not billions, Amanda, trillions, are now ready to invest their capital in the United States. So we're going to see an economic boom and economic growth like we've never seen. And so everybody is going to feel it. So we know now that peace and prosperity, fingers crossed, are right around the corner. Amanda, final word to you.
But I don't want people to forget about it. And I have another job for those 87,000 IRS agents, because believe me, Jeff, they're coming after me too. I got a letter in the mail also. Let's not forget about the 320+ thousand migrant children that are missing, and the $500 billion human traffic industry. Why don't we take those IRS agents and go make them look for those kids, track them down, bring the kids home?
I love it. I love it. Amanda, thank you very much for that call. Really, really nice call. Great uplifting call. 617-266-6868. Now, I just forgot to add one aspect of what Trump's going to do regarding immigration and the border. He is going to declare the Mexican drug cartels as terrorist enemies of the United States. So he is going to declare war on the Mexican drug cartels. And he's already told the Mexican government, we're going to be if you don't take care of them, we're going to give it to you first. But if you don't take care, and I mean like now, before I get into office, if not, we are going to launch special forces raids. We are going to destroy and dismantle every single drug cartel. And to the gangs in this country, Trump is going to seize or the federal government under Trump is going to seize all of their assets, all of their money, all of their illicit, illegal gains. And he's going to make sure that the money goes to the victims of illegal migrants. So it's going to be an all-out war on drug trafficking, human trafficking, child trafficking, sex trafficking. You watch. We're going to go from the third world back to the first world in rocket lightning speed. Scott, my buddy in Revere, how are you?
Jeff, I love you. Get you away, my friend.
Thank you, Scott. We did it, buddy. We did it.
Well, Jeff, you have no idea how happy I am. I don't think you. I mean, you do. I mean, you and everyone in MAGA country, Kuhner country. Listen, I'm going to tell all. I'm going to give us all a pat in the back. Everyone give themselves a pat in the back. Mike, Sandy, you. Because without shows like this, Jeff, that would have never have happened. I'm telling you right now. I'm going to tell you right now. I thank you, the Jeff Kuhner Show, the Boston Bulldozer, Sandy, Mike, everyone who's affiliated with your show. Because you know what? We are taking this country back now by mandate. We have spoken. The people have spoken. And Maura Healey and the Rhinos, when I tell you this lady, I mean, when I say these people need to go to jail, and I'm not just, when you see like the January 6th out, Jeff, I don't want them to just come out. I want the people who put them there in. That's what I want. Because you know what? They were railroaded, and people need to pay for things like that. It's just not right. They suffered. I mean, imagine going to jail for 4 years over something that the United States government set up. And everybody knows that they set it up. It's not a secret.
Oh, Scott, you're on a roll. You're really on fire. And look, just to, again, piggyback off of what you're saying, in absolutely horrendous, deplorable conditions. They put these poor January 6ers in solitary confinement. I mean, forgive me, they didn't have proper toilets. I don't want to get too graphic. It's a family show. But you know what I mean? Urine, excrement everywhere. Filthy mud conditions. Not letting them take a shower for weeks. Not letting them have any underarm deodorant, not letting them brush their teeth. I mean, just treated them like animals. In fact, let me take that back. Scott, I swear to you, I treat my Rocky infinitely better than those poor J6ers were treated. He takes my kids bathe him all the time. We take him out for a walk. He has, multiple meals a day, fresh water every day, all the, medicines and, healthcare that he needs. We groom him. I mean, Rocky's a very well-treated dog. We treat our pets better than the way those J6ers were treated. And so, Scott, one of the things I'd like for Trump to do is not just do a mass pardon on day one, but then have them come out in front of the Senate and the House and testify to the deplorable conditions that they had to endure. So the American people hear firsthand what the Biden regime did. These were political prisoners under the Harris-Biden regime. And I'm with you, Scott. Everybody that abused their power to put them behind bars on these ridiculous charges, they need to pay and pay big. Scott, this was a victory by Kuhner country, of Kuhner country, for Kuhner country. We did it, baby. We took this country on our shoulders, and we took it across the finish line. 617-266-6868. All right, my friends. Happy days soon. 2.5 more months, but we're going to get there. Happy days are here again. 8:50 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, it's turning into an absolute rout. And I don't just mean Trump winning the popular vote, the Electoral College, which is now way over 300, and of course winning back the Senate for Republicans. It now looks very likely they're going to hold the House. But this is now Joe Biden's Department of Justice. This is Biden and Merrick Garland. Their own DOJ has now announced that Jack Smith is going to drop the federal lawfare cases against Donald Trump. They're in discussions right now to wind it all down. So even on the lawfare front, the Democrats have completely collapsed. The only thing left standing is going to be the sentencing in New York on November 25th by that crazy hack judge, Juan Merchan, on those ridiculous bookkeeping charges. And we'll see what happens. But outside of that, it now looks like every other case against Trump is now going to be dismissed and dropped. Winning, winning, winning. Jose in Quincy. Thanks for holding, Jose, and welcome.
Jeff, you're on fire. And do you know how good my coffee tastes today? Before I make my point, do you know how good my coffee tastes today? It tastes delicious. It's delicious, Jeff. Listen, I got a couple of messages for a few people. To the Black Americans, to the Latino Americans, to the white Americans, to the Asian Americans, to the Muslims in Dearborn, Michigan, to the Somalian leaders in Minnesota, although I think you came out a little late, but let that go, right? Thank you. I want to give them a big thank you for jumping on board. Yes, we showed, because of you, I live in a Trump voting country. We're smarter than the corrupt media, Jeff. And you can take your accusations of racism and shove them you know where. Now, to Kamala Harris, you are an installed, unelected, unnominated puppet of a candidate, and you have been fully exposed as such. To the green new idiots, gas and diesel forever, baby. Gas and diesel forever. To my President Trump, bring back voter ID now and deport all illegals and terrorists. I did see her speech, and I was bored out of my mind, Jeff. I was bored out of my mind watching her. You phony, you fraud, you. Long live the evil orange man. And I've been waiting to say this to you, Jeff. What say you, Jeff?
Jose, you hit the nail right on the head. And no, I love the way you laid it out. You're so right. I mean, think about how absurd now liberals and the left sound and the media. You're right. The lying, corrupt, corporate fake news media. So black men went for Trump. Latinos went for Trump. Asians went for Trump. Muslims went for Trump. Arab Americans went for Trump. Jews went for Trump. He picked up massive support among Jews. Young voters went for Trump. White women went for Trump. And now the Amish. Jose, this is coming out. You know what could be the ultimate difference maker in Pennsylvania? It was the Amish. The Amish came out in record numbers for Trump. Jose, I swear to you, I don't think any politician or presidential leader in American history has put together such an incredibly broad, diverse, multiracial, multi-religious, multi-ethnic coalition in the history of the United States. It's really, when you think about it, it's almost like semi-biblical. I mean, I don't want to go, get carried away here, but it's almost like he's bringing everybody together. Everybody's coming together. And all they have left is to call us racist, sexist, misogynists. I mean, it's pathetic. Jose, final word to you, my friend.
Going to piggyback a little bit of what you said about the border. I'll take it a step further, and I think by the time Donald Trump puts his hand on the Bible and gets sworn in and goes down to the border, I don't think there's going to be anyone there. They're going to all hightail it, I hope.
I think you're right. Jose, I think you're right. Jose, please continue enjoying your coffee. God bless you, and thank you for that great call. 617-266-6868. By the way, many of you are texting, including my sister, who, as I said, she's as happy as I am. She, my wonderful brother-in-law, her husband Marty, or my two nephews, her two boys, 4 votes for Donald Trump. They are partying in Tucson, Arizona. So my sister's been texting me all morning. Jeff, where's Bill from Sudbury? Where are all the Moonbat callers, Jeff? Jeff, what happened to Ben in North Andover? Chris in Gloucester? Frank in Gloucester? What, the cat cut their tongue? Hello? What happened to them? They were predicting a Kamala landslide. They were going on about January 6th. and how Trump is a fascist and a Nazi, and he's going to be destroyed, and Kamala's going to win running away. Nobody's willing to call into the show now? So have you noticed the moonbats, crickets, they've all gone silent. 617-266-6868. A very quick point to what Jose was saying. Looking at the results, people are going through the data and stuff. Notice how for years, rhinos, establishment Republicans, so many people in the so-called conservative media, what I call conservative Inc., the conservative establishment. Oh, you want to win the Latino vote, you have to be for open borders and amnesty. No, you have to support amnestio. Amnesty, open borders, unlimited immigration. Latinos voted for Trump, and when asked what was one of your top issues, they said secure the border. Yes, like Trump, we believe in legal immigration, regulated, legal immigration. You vet people before you bring them in. You make sure they're not criminals and drug dealers and child molesters and murderers and rapists. The filth, you keep out. The criminals, you keep out. So it was a lie the whole time. And to show you, this is how devastating Trump's victory is. Okay, I could cite you stat after stat. This is the only one you need to know. Okay, and this tells you how we were fed a bunch of lies, a pack of lies about Latinos. Okay, it's Hispanic voters in particular. A border county in Texas, literally right on the border, 97% Latino. It's basically a complete Latino county. Has voted Democrat since the 1890s. What is that, 140 years? Whatever it is, 130 years, whatever that may be. Voted for Trump. 97% Latino. Voted Democrat since the 1890s. Voted for Trump. Number one issue, securing the border. Number one issue, stop illegal immigration. Now, what? They hate themselves? Like what? They all hate Mexicans now? What? They all hate Central Americans? What? They hate they hate Cubans? They hate Venezuelans? They hate Colombians? They hate South Americans? And they said, we want legal, controlled, regulated immigration. We don't want the freaking Wild West. Their words, not mine. Biden unleashed a quote-unquote border invasion. And we voted for Trump to stop the invasion. Game, set, match. Now, instead of saying, ooh, eesh, we made a big mistake. Nope. Racism, misogyny, sexism, fascism, Nazism, Hitler. So, you've got brown people for Hitler, you've got black people for Hitler, you've got Jewish people for Hitler, you've got Asian people for Hitler. You see how stupid you're all starting to sound, you moonbats? Do you see how crazy and unhinged all of you sound? Could it possibly be our policies were wrong and destructive? And the middle of the country said, we've had enough? And they gave you the collective middle finger? Blank you? Enough? We can't take it anymore? Could it possibly be? It's not the whole country that's crazy. You're crazy. I'm just, hey, consider it. Just think it over. Reflect. Think it over. Sue in Boston. Thanks for holding, Sue, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Sue.
Yeah, I'm Sue Ianni, the J6er that brought all the buses down, and I am officially classified as a domestic violent extremist with the government.
That's disgusting.
Which means it is disgusting, because what it means is I don't have civil rights anymore. The government has an open investigation on me at all times. I tried to get something called a FOIA request. It's basically a FOIA request, because I wanted to find out what kind of illegal means they use to investigate me. For instance, going into my emails illegally and, whatever investigations they've used, through FISA and all kinds of things. I was unable to do that because the investigation is ongoing. My case has been closed. Well, there's no such thing as a closed case when you're a DVE, as they call it. So, but that's one thing I want to put out there. All of us J6ers are considered DVEs, domestic violent extremists. So we have no rights. That's something Trump has to fix. So I wanted to put that out there. This is way more complicated than we've been punished and persecuted. Imprisoned. They were on TSA lists for life and so forth. So it's a lot more than that. But what worried me that I want to get into that Trump said the other night was he said we want to bring the country together, this message of unity. It felt like a knife through my heart, because this was something, I don't know if he was saying it just so they don't kill him, but this felt like 2016 all over again. And forgiving Hillary for the whole thing that they did to him. And then what did they do to him after he did this whole forgiveness deal? Was they put him through impeachment, Russia, and they destroyed his presidency. He could have gotten twice as much done. And then they stole the election. No accountability. Criminals get worse and worse. And then look what they did to us. Okay, fine. No accountability. He doesn't want to punish people for what they did to him. You better punish them for what they did to us. So I don't want his message of unity to overshadow the need for justice for J6.
I agree. See, Sue, I agree with you. Not 100, but 1,000%. And look, I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I am so sorry. I am truly sorry what they did to you and all the other J6ers, but especially you, because you're on the phone right now, and I know you're a regular listener to this show. And look, you were politically persecuted. You are a political dissident, very much like my grandfather. That's what communist regimes do. They persecute opponents and dissidents, and that's what they're doing to you. And that's why, at a bare minimum, I'm calling for a mass pardon. Why? So you can not be on a TSA list. You will no longer be considered a domestic terrorist. And I could go on and on, that you can regain your full legal, political, and civil liberties, and have your slate wiped clean. And what I would prefer is that the people who orchestrated this persecution, this political intimidation campaign, this campaign of terror against the Biden's opponents, that they go to jail, that they pay and be punished for what they've done. Now, I will give you my word on this. If Trump does not give a mass pardon to all of the J6ers and give them their lives back completely, 1,000%, I will be after him. I will not let him go. I promise you. Now, my understanding is, I could be wrong, Sue. I'm not claiming I have a crystal ball, but my understanding is, when he came out and said, I want unity, I want the country to heal, not that he's going to give an inch on his agenda. But remember now, look, he's going to be president-elect. He's a position of immense power, authority, and influence. He's got two things to worry about immediately. An assassination attempt, which is not just selfish in the sense of self-preservation, but can you imagine what would happen to our country, God forbid, if someone kills him after he wins the election? I mean, it would tear the country apart. It could lead to civil war. So he's got to say that to try to calm temperatures down. In other words, hey, look, everything they've said about me is a lie. Hey, I'm not going to impose a dictatorship. I'm not Hitler. I'm not ending democracy. Relax. Everybody just relax and take a breath. And the second point is he wants to prevent rioting. The big fear was massive political violence in reaction to Trump winning. So that's why he's trying to calm the waters. So my understanding from people within the team, the Trump camp, is that's what he meant. Not that he's going to back away from his promise, and he made a promise that he was going to free every J6er and he was going to pardon all of them. Now, if he backtracks, I will hold his feet to the fire. And Sue, I give you my word. And to show you when I say I give you my word, in Trump's first term in office, when I thought Trump betrayed his principles, I called him out on it. I remember, for example, the bombing strikes on Syria. I was dead set against that. His budgets, I thought they spent way too much money. And I got tremendous blowback from the audience. Not everybody, but many. Because they feel, well, come on, you should hold the line and support Trump. And I'm like, look, I back the guy, but I back him on his principles and his agenda and his vision. If I think he's wrong or betraying the principles of our movement, then I'm sorry, I'm going to call him out. And let me just say one last thing. I want to give you the last word. I promise, Sue. Look, for me, and I'm going to make this case to the president if I have the chance, giving a full pardon, blanket pardon to you and to every J6er, and to have your life completely restored to what it should be. It's not just a question of what's right, which it is, what's moral, which it is, and justice, which it is. I think it's a question for Trump of his own personal integrity. Because the J6ers went up on Capitol Hill to protest peacefully and civilly for him. I understand it was for our free and fair elections, for a protest, a stolen election. I get it. It was for the country and the republic. But ultimately, it was for him. They went for him. And they were railroaded. They were persecuted. Many of them are rotting in jail, or like you, are unable to board flights or have any kind of a semi-normal life. Now, I'm sorry, but personal honor, personal decency, personal goodness, virtue, demands that when people do this for you, when they have your back, you have to have theirs. And the political consequences be damned. So to put it as plain language as I can, he owes you. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. I know we owe him a lot, and he's going to have my loyalty and my gratitude for the rest of my life. But I'm sorry, when it comes to the J6ers like you, he owes you. And look, he's a very fair man. He's a very good man. He's a very decent man. I am convinced he will do the right thing. Final word to you, Sue.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything you do for the J6ers. And the fact that you have the president's ear means so much. And I know you will keep your word and hold true to that, having our backs with him. My concern is not that he won't pardon us. I know that he will because he is a good man. My concern is that, and this is very important to us J6ers, that he won't hold the people accountable who did persecute us and ruin our lives. And no matter even if he pardons us and takes people and lets people go home from prison, people have lost their homes. They have lost their mortgages, their homes. If a senior citizen is in prison and their Social Security checks have ended, they can't pay their mortgage from prison with their Social Security checks ended. They just lost their house. They have no home to go home.
I'm so with you. No, Sue, you've really, I think, powerfully, coherently, brilliantly, you've made the case. They have to be punished. The evildoers and those that inflicted, and this was really a form of terror. These were human rights abuses. That's what this was. Those that oppressed you and inflicted these human rights abuses need to be held accountable. They need to pay and they need to be punished. And I agree with you 1,000%. And I'm going to urge this to President Trump, and I know his people listen. Look, I know you're trying to pick a cabinet. You're trying to pick a staff. I get it. You're busy. Don't forget the J6ers, because I promise you, we will never forget them. Trump triumphant, baby. 9:20 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Okay, my friends, here it is. Here it is. Stop whatever you're doing, please. Molto importante. Very important. Here it is. Here it is. Our victory is complete. Arizona has now just declared for Donald Trump, making it a clean sweep of all swing states. Arizona, Nevada, North Carolina, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, 312 electoral college votes, 7-7. On top of that, clearly, it was a massive red wave. It was a tidal wave. But it is beyond a landslide. This is what Elon Musk tweeted on X, and he's completely right. Republicans won not just the presidency. They won the popular vote over 3.5 points. They won a Senate majority. They keep their House majority. They won a state governor majority. They won a state legislature majority. My friends, winning, winning, winning. It is a full, complete, decisive, overwhelming mandate. And this is what the Democrats have left. This is how pitiful and pathetic and corrupt and desperate and honestly small-minded they are. One case remains, and that's the Alvin Bragg so-called hush money case. The sentencing will be on November 25th. It looks, as I said earlier, the Biden DOJ, the lawfare strategy has completely failed. It blew up in their face. Jack Smith now looks like he's going to wind down and drop all of the cases against Trump. Listen now to Letitia James, New York State Attorney General. She was with Moonbat Governor Kathy Hochul. Listen to what she said. Roll cut 10, Mike.
We did not expect this result, but we are prepared to respond to this result. And my office has been preparing for several months because we've been here before. We faced this challenge before. And we use the rule of law to fight back. And we are prepared to fight back once again. Because as the Attorney General of this great state, it is my job to protect and defend the rights of New Yorkers and the rule of law. And I will not shrink from that responsibility.
She's a disgusting political thug. She is a Marxist, communist political thug. She's the one that gave the green light to Alvin Bragg to go after Trump on that BS bookkeeping charge, the 34 charges of bookkeeping in the hush money case. Okay, the non-case case. Now, she's threatening him again. She's threatening Trump again. That they're going to find some little bogus case to go after him in New York. Now, it's not just that he has to go after everyone who put the J6ers in jail. He's got to go after every single one of them, like Letitia James and Alvin Bragg. They need to be taught a lesson that orchestrated, masterminded, and implemented this lawfare strategy, this persecution, this weaponization of the legal system against him. And now this petty thug is now threatening the president-elect of the United States? Hey, blank you. Who the hell do you think you are? Trump, on day one, has got to tell his attorney general, you're going to bring Letitia James to heel because this lawfare has got to stop. It's got to stop immediately. So what is this now? You're going to try to tie him up in court for the next 4 years? You're going to come up with more BS charges against him? It's time that these Democrat political gangsters be put in their place. Agree, disagree. She's abused her power. She's abused her authority. She now needs to be kicked out of office. And I'm telling you, she needs to be made an example of. Mark in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
My man,
Mark, buddy, how are you?
Happy days are here again, my man. You know, I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed our state didn't go, but that Massachusetts infection at our southern border kind of threw it to Harris. You know, my county went heavy for Trump, so that's all I care about. It is what it is, I guess. But a couple quick things, if I may. With regard to the election, Jeff, I liken the election to our political version of D-Day, Jeff. We just stormed the beaches, and now we have a foothold. And we're going to start that slow, long, bloody march to Berlin, Jeff, where we're going to wipe out the National Socialists, all right? We're going to liberate city by city, village by village, town by town, and they're all going to thank us along the way. And when we get there, we're going to be stronger than we've ever been. Now, with regard to immigration, this has got to be the dumbest thing Maura Healey could ever do. I mean, aside from becoming governor. I mean, that was bad enough, but she is going to sit there and try to block Trump from deporting however many.
Mark, I want you to finish your thought and your point. Please hang on. I'm going to come right back to Mark and take your calls. And I've got some clips of moonbats melting down. Oh, you want to laugh? Hang on. 9:32, Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868. Okay, Trump takes it all. Every single battleground state, clean sweep. He runs the table, wins back the Senate for the Republicans. In fact, with a pretty decent, comfortable majority. They hold the House, but they win even a majority of state governorships, state legislatures. It is a massive red tidal wave. Let's go right back to Mark in New Hampshire. Mark, I loved your first analogy. This is like our D-Day storming the beaches of Normandy. We've got a strategic beachhead, a toehold, and now we're going to march slowly but surely. We're going to take Berlin and crush National Socialism in this country once and for all. And then you're about to make your excellent second point about the border, and Mike had to force me to a break. So my apologies. Mark, please pick up where you left off.
All right. So Maura Healey thinks she's being really smart. You know, thinks she's earning points with the left by saying she won't allow any deportations. So let's say Trump says, well, if you're not going to adhere, then we're going to cut your federal funding and we're not going to pay for you to house them and feed them and clothe them. Maura Healey goes on TV and says, I don't care what this fascist tyrant says. We will have to deal with the money end of this. No threats are gonna force us to deport these poor, people who just want a better life. So let's just say somehow she actually does manage to keep Trump from deporting people from the state of Massachusetts. She gets invited on CNN, MSNBC, the local news. She's heralded as the great hope for the Democrat Party because she stopped the orange man and his fascist policies of deportation. What do you think is going to happen when, let's say, Kelly Ayotte says, well, you know what? We think it's right. We're going to follow federal law, and we're going to allow him to deport. Do you think the thousands of illegals in New Hampshire are going to say, okay, we'll go back? Or are they going to say, pack your bags, kids. we're going to Massachusetts where we won't get deported. If Maura Healey thinks it's bad when 10,000 were dumped in her state, wait until 100,000 come because they know they're not going to get deported, Jeff. Your state is going to go into chaos. There'll be nowhere that you'll be able to go where you won't be tripping over families of illegals demanding money, starting riots, committing violence, saying, you promised us we wouldn't be deported. So what's she going to do, Jeff?
Oh, Mark, you're a genius. I'm telling you, you're brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. That's what I mean. She's so stupid. You're right. She's really painted herself. She's boxed herself into a corner. And now we're going to become even more of a magnet. And especially when Trump gets in power, which is like 2.5 months away. And apparently he's already, what I'm reading now, just what that's breaking on the wires, he's already got the executive orders ready to roll. He's already got the deportation plan in place. So you're completely right. They're going to, look, New Hampshire's going to comply, obviously. Maine is going to comply. Connecticut is going to comply. They're all going to comply except for Healey. So we're going to become a massive magnet for all of, and remember, she's protecting not just the illegals, but violent criminal illegals. So just think of the PR. Everything you said is true, Mark, but just add to that the PR nightmare. Hi, I'm the governor of Massachusetts. If you're a member of MS-13, we want you. If you're a convicted murderer or child rapist, we want you. Now, I know they're freaking crazy in this state, Mark. I get it. It's Massachusetts, not Massachusetts. But even here, I don't think the Moonbats are that insane. What say you, buddy?
You know, Jeff, I would love to say that you're right, but I think they are that crap crazy. I think they don't care, Jeff, as long as they oppose the Orange Man. They are so invested in beating him that they will suffer any slings, any arrows, any damage they have to take as long as they can put a feather in their cap that they beat the Orange Man. And they're not going to care, Jeff, because they're going to sit in their, ivory towers and look down at the common people, like the people in Dorchester and Murder Pan and, Run and Hyde Park, and all these places where these poor, black people are going to have to deal with these criminals. And they're going to say, look, if you don't like it, too bad. We know what's right for you because we're college educated. We're smart people. You're just ignorant fools who voted for Donald Trump. You don't have any sense. We're better than you. We know what's right.
Mark, drop the mic. I'm telling you, outstanding call. Drop the mic. Thank you for that call, Mark. And by the way, Trump picked up a lot of support even here in Massachusetts. Counties, towns, cities that formerly were Democrat. Now, look, he still lost the state. Don't get me wrong. But even the Boston Globe had to concede that Trump made inroads even here in deep blue Massachusetts. And if Mark's scenario, turns out the way he says, and I think he's right, they're going to lose even more black voters. Now you can see now, this is why black voters are turning to Trump. She does this stunt. More black voters are going to turn to Trump in Massachusetts now. More Latinos are going to turn to Trump. More Asians are going to turn to Trump. More young people are going to turn to Trump. More Jews are going to turn to Trump. More women are going to turn to Trump. So, okay. Hey, it's your political funeral. If you guys want to defend third world mass murderers and gangs in the name of standing up to evil Orange Man? Go ahead, baby. I'm not going to stand in your way. Hey, when you're lighting yourself on, when your enemy is pouring gasoline on themselves and lighting the match, just sit back and watch. Okay, speaking of sitting back, lines are full. I promise I'm going to get to the phone lines, okay? I want all of you to laugh. We've all earned this. It's been 4 years of suffering, 4 years of hardship. This is just a taste. of liberals and Harris supporters. And when I say melting down, losing their minds. This one is Mike, what would you say? 450 pounds? Easy? He's big. I mean, it could even be 500 pounds. Let's put it this way. He's got the mother of all beer bellies. So it's a huge, obese guy, and he's got a shirt that says "White Dudes for Harris." Well, on election night, he finds out Kamala lost. Roll cut 100. Mike.
I can't believe Trump's actually going to win this thing. Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm so pissed off. God damn it.
He gets up and he tears his shirt off completely. And you can see his massive stomach and those man boobs. Mike, holy shamoly. That's like what is that, a D or if you have to wear a bra on that? You need a big bra for those man boobs. So this shirt just comes ripping right off. This is a black female driver in her car, and she just got the news that Trump won. Roll cut 102. Mike.
I'm sorry. No. Why? Why? Do you really hate me that bad?
Do you really hate me that bad? All right. Now, I think she's a college student, Mike, because she goes on about her parents. And anyway, it looks like a college student in the kitchen of her parents' home. You gotta listen to this. Roll cut 103. Mike.
The bigotry and hatred that they stand behind, and how I am trying to be a good person. I'm not Catholic like they are, which is ironic because it's religion's supposed to make you love. But I could see it breaking me and my parents apart because they just don't get it, and they don't get that they voted for someone who's gonna make my friends' lives hell. My life's okay. I'm a white woman, but my friends are not gonna be okay.
Honey, this is what I would tell her, sweetie. You know why mommy and daddy voted for Trump as you're, living in the basement? Because somebody has to pay the bills. All right. I don't want to rush this. Coming up next, you got to hear this one. This is a woman covered head to toe in tattoos. I'm talking forehead, face, cheeks, neck, the whole thing. She's almost 50 years old. And she just realized the sisterhood lost. She's a radical feminist. Trump, they just announced it. Trump won. Her reaction, priceless. Your calls, that next.
I'm sorry. No. Why? Do you really hate me that bad?
That's a grown woman, by the way. In her car after she found out that Trump beat Kamala Harris. They're all over the internet. I'm telling you, I've just been watching this nonstop for the last 24 hours. You want to talk about your guilty pleasure? 9:50 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Okay, this is one of my favorites of all of them. So this is a woman, just to picture her, 48, 50 years old, diehard feminist. I don't know how she can see with all those tattoos all over her face. But anyway, tattoos everywhere. And she now finds out evil orange man has won. Roll cut 101. She's now recording herself talking to the fellow sisterhood. Roll cut 101. Mike.
Anyone else having a meltdown? I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to wait. I'm so stressed. How you can't look out into the world, into the people of this country and see what's happening. And how hard we're all fighting for rights not to be taken away from people. I go from hysterically crying 1 minute over the pain of this situation and then hysterically crying the next minute, watching so many people come together and women from around the world supporting us and cheering us on. I am 48 years old and I have never experienced anything like this and never thought I would in this country.
I gotta tell you. Now, let me play one more. This is her. She's now she's sobbing. Now she's like full blown sobbing. But you just gotta see her face. It's like, I don't, it's like her mother, her father, her family, everybody died all at once. You gotta see the look on her face. She's sobbing, she's ashen, she's completely despondent. Roll cut 101A. Mike.
It's like I can feel the pain and the fear from every single person. I don't know how to handle this. I don't know how to get through the next couple days. Who knows how long this is going to take.
Oh, honey, I got news for you. Trump's going to be around for a lot more than a couple of days. Try 4 years. So if you can't handle a couple of days, maybe you should leave the country, okay? That's all I'm saying. Maybe you should just leave. I hear Canada's taking refugees. I would go if I were you. Ellie in Worcester. Thanks for holding, Ellie, and welcome.
Hey, well, you want to know I'm taking away. People, relax. Relax. You know, for the last 16 years, we've been getting into slow, steady, cancerous, malignant effects of socialism/communism. And the last 4 years, we started not only getting a taste of it, we were getting it shoved down the throat by the mouthful. So the only thing that the American people figured out was they don't want socialism and communism. I mean, everyone together. They just don't want socialist communist country. You know, and a lot of the people from other countries who came from socialist communist countries were really scared of what was going on because they escaped that and they came here for freedom and liberty. And I was talking to a woman from Vietnam whose family was, you know, tortured and stuff like that. And her daughter is in the military. They're very patriotic people. And she said, this can't happen here. We came here to escape.
Oh, Ellie, look, you nailed it. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. We avoided a communist revolution. We dodged a bullet, you know, the proverbial bullet. And these idiots that are crying all over social media and on TikTok and the internet. And I'm like, enjoy the peace and prosperity. Enjoy the lower inflation, the lower crime, the booming economy. We're going to wind down these wars, God willing. Enjoy the peace and the prosperity. Relax. Have a drink. It's going to be much better for everybody. Ellie, thank you for that call. Dan in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Dan, and welcome.
Thanks for taking the call, Jeff. I'm going to take a little moment out and I'm going to say thank you. Thank you for the man that you are. Thank you for the presence, the persistence, the intelligence, the foresight. I will never forget. And I don't think anybody will. You stood up for this country. You are a true patriot, sir. And I'm going to tell you, I can tell that the weight of the world is off your shoulders by the way you're laughing. And it's certainly the weight of the world is off of mine, too. And I am so proud of you, your family, your staff in Kuhner Country. I want to tell you, you took a conservative radio station and you created a movement. You impacted New England. You impacted the president. You impacted your family. You were a representative of the Jewish race, and all your ancestors are cheering for you.
Dan, wow, that is very high praise. Dan, thank you from the bottom of my heart to Kuhner Country, all of you. Thank you for all of your incredible support and for everything you've done for our country and for coming out in such record numbers and pulling off the greatest victory in American history. I gotta go. Bye-bye.